everyone, welcome back to another episode of Talking Tongue, the weekly quarantine show where I get to talk to my friends near and far to talk about, you know what, Marvel again? This is the second week in a row of Marvel. It just keeps coming back. My nerdiness doesn't stop. It keeps gushing out of the bloodstream because there are things that need to be discussed. And of course, anytime there's a Marvel show, we have to bring this guy back from an alternate timeline, branching. It's a variant of himself, I think. Taylor Fleming, everyone.
Thank you for welcoming me back, Tongue. Yeah, every time there's a Marvel thing, I just know that I'm going to get the call.
You get the call, yeah, the text message, the Nick Fury kind of message of like, you got to come, you got to assemble.
Exactly. They're like, there's a new Hawkeye TV show. And then immediately after it's like, what days are you free to record?
We won't talk about Black Widow because we just did that last week, but I am excited for the Hawkeye TV show now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are all they're fun. They serve a purpose.
Spoilers. We will be talking spoilers, obviously, when we get into the meat of the episode. And I don't think we have much to spoil about, like, say, Black Widow, which is just out right now, other than I am excited for Hawkeye. That's my only spoilers. But before we get into the actual topic of the day, you know, we usually talk about introducing the guest and where have they been and how's it going and all this other stuff. We've seen Taylor pop up in the pod cavern many times, especially on Talking Tongue. No, it's okay, because like the last time we talked was 12 weeks ago, it sounds like. That's a long time.
Dang.
It's a long time.
3 months by my count.
That's right. So Taylor, how do you feel about yourself and Marvel?
I feel great. I just want to say before we begin, I just want to acknowledge that I'm recording on the unceded land and territories of the Musqueam and the Halkomelem speaking Coast Salish people. We thank them for allowing us to meet and learn together on their territory, also known as Vancouver. Yeah,
I love it.
Just throwing that out there. But yeah, I'm doing well. I've been, like you said, there's a steady drip of Marvel content just into our bloodstreams. It's inescapable, whether or not you like it. Luckily, we do like it, and I'm happy to talk about it. So yeah, thanks for having me back, bud.
Of course. What else is new in life?
What is new? I don't know. I was just showing you this new lamp we just got. Oh, gosh.
You've changed so much in the last 3 months.
I have actually. We've been getting a bunch of new plants and stuff because like the new summer light is coming in, and we're kind of west facing, so we're getting a lot of new growth and stuff. And yeah, that's what's going on my end. I'm still living that COVID lifestyle, as you can tell.
Right. Last time we talked, Vancouver was not on fire, and it wasn't a heat wave of sorts. How are you dealing with that type of climate?
Luckily right now the weather's in Vancouver is kind of broke. It's overcast. We're good. Yeah, those heat waves are absolutely insane. People keep talking about the climate crisis and when it's coming. Folks, we're in it. I know you see those Twitter videos of like German towns getting washed away and like landslide. Like it's horrible. I mean, forest fire season. Yeah, that's a thing that I didn't know until I moved out here. Usually starts in August. It's June and it's already happening.
And it happens like on an annual basis type of thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God.
It just dries out, and then cigarettes or campfires. A lot of people lighting fireworks. You know what? I'm just going to end with that. PSA: don't light the fireworks off. It's too dry. I know you can have lots of fun. I don't know. Grab a bunch of flashlights and shoot them up in the air.
Were you a fireworks guy before? Like
I was a firecrackers kid,
okay.
Which is a different kind of troublemaker.
Some may say. I was going to say, is it worse than fireworks? Like,
probably
fireworks...
because they're more concealable and like you're gone before they it's we were shitty with them. I grew up on Prince Edward Island, and for those of you who don't know, canned pop used to be illegal. It's legal now, don't worry. But fireworks you also can't get on Prince Edward Island, so that's really hard to come by. So my grandparents would always bring us up firecrackers from Florida. Packs of firecrackers, and my brother and I would sell them to $5 to other kids, because we would just have like crates of these things.
Oh my God.
And yeah, we were just light up, sorry, like hornets nests and just like everything, like look, anything you can imagine.
Look, you're a kid, you're not doing it now, it's fine, right?
Yeah, that was like weeks ago. Who can remember?
You've matured a lot in the last couple weeks. Yeah,
I'm coming for the bumblebees now.
Oh man, I Bumblebees freak me out, but
I'm just kidding. We need to save the bumblebees.
we got to save the bumblebees. I've realized as I got older that the bumblebees are the nice ones.
Didn't you
Wasps
say
are
you
the
only found out about them going extinct from the Honey Nut Cheerios bee? You said, hey, where's the bee on the box? I said, damn it, their marketing worked.
Oh man, we got to keep one bee alive, and it has to be the honey nut Cheerio bee. What's his name? Is it just Bee?
I feel like Chester, but I feel like that's
No, that's the Cheetos
logo.
guy.
Yeah.
That's the Cheeto guy.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll find out and remember by the end of this episode. Wow, Taylor, it sounds like you've been through quite a bit in the last little bit. I feel like, man, I've never bought myself fireworks or a firecracker in my life, and I don't know if I need to.
Yeah, there's certainly a time and a place.
I will say
Halloween around here apparently is the time and the place.
What? That's so odd. Oh, I will say a reckless story now, and I'm so glad that somebody stopped me back in the day. So back in my university,
you're a regular Jim Carrey.
Oh my God. Actually, this was like post-university, but it was like the first house I owned. It was, we lived on this famous place. This will mean nothing to everybody, but it was called Dines. That's where we were, the Dynasty on Dines Road. And it's where all the boys hung out back in the day. And
okay, just to be clear, this is just a road.
This was just a road, but it was just like where the house was. And we're like, this is the Dynasty.
No. This was the road. I'm sorry, Tom. Continue.
And we had like a lot of parties there and whatever. This is not a brag, but just kind of like we were stupid. We were very stupid. It was like kind of like the first house that all of the boys, if you will, would congregate to just party and do stupid stuff together, drink all day, smoke weed all day, just be gross, but also hang out. And it was a lot of fun, but lots of stupid decisions. Like on the final nights of leaving that place, we found a firework. It was just lying around.
A single firework.
It was a single firework. No joke. It was just a single firework. And we're like, what do we do with this? And it was just three of us guys that were just so stupid drunk. And we're like, we should light it up. Okay, how are we going to light it up? We needed something to like, make it stand on something. What do we have? Everything's gone from the house. Everything's mostly moved out. Oh, there's like a tub of margarine in the fridge. Let's put the fireworks in the margarine and see if we can light it up.
You've clearly never used fireworks because they all come set up with if it needs to stand up, it has a tiny plastic peg on the bottom that you put into the ground.
No, we've never used it before. It was a bad idea. And then we're like talking about like, okay, this is the worst part. We're like, if we open the door, because we're not going to like shoot it up into the ceiling.
Okay, you're still inside at this point.
We're still inside. We can fire it out the door. And someone was like, don't do that. That is a bad idea. Don't do that. And finally, after a lot of like, you're stupid, man. Of course we're going to do it. We didn't do that. Obviously, thankfully someone talked us down from our drunken stupor. We went to the park nearby, lit it up. It was very not exciting after we lit it up. But the idea of lighting it outside of a door was very exciting until like now I'm thinking like, man, we could have hurt someone.
I'm just picturing it to like cut to. It's just one of those little like worm things that grows when you light it on fire is all it was. The three of you in a park, like, woo.
Yeah, it was not impressive.
And then you didn't have anything for breakfast the next day because you ruined your margarine.
Honestly, it was like a full tub of margarine. We fucked up. I don't know how we got to this conversation. You know what, Taylor? Screw it. We have so much to talk about today. Let's get into the news of the week, the pop culture news of the week. Of course, these are just IGN headlines that I'm pulling for the first time. And the first one that I see here, pretty exciting news, is Summer Games Done Quick. Have you heard of these before?
What?
Summer Games Done Quick. Have you heard of this?
That's the name
of the thing. Yeah, it's Summer Games Done Quick.
I thought you meant like Olympic Summer Games or something.
No. We do real games, video games.
Right.
They're essentially Games Done Quick is a series of. It's like an event that happens a few times a year, I feel like, but the Summer Games happens in the summer. And what they do is they get people who are speedrunners to complete games for charity.
Okay.
And it's really cool. You get to see like people do like Super Mario 64, for example, and they're like
Oh,
kind of
I've watched. I'm not a big gamer, but like I've watched some speedrun videos. Like I find like an old like Crash Bandicoot or a game that I know, Tony Hawk, and then you see
mhm.
someone like play that and you'd be like, oh my God.
It's nuts.
It's pretty crazy.
It's nuts because people are trying to beat the game in the most like buggy way possible, but it's all like a technique. And it's even if you know the technique, you got to execute it on it
Hmm.
perfectly to get the best speed run time. It's bananas. Anyways, it's so cool watching these videos. I definitely recommend it if you have any like curiosity in speedrunners. It's quite a thing. But anyways, they raised $2.8 million for Doctors
Awesome.
Without Borders.
Wicked. That's so it's already happened.
It just
Okay.
happened.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sweet. Doctors Without Borders is that what they donated to? Can people still
Yep.
donate?
Probably they can still, I mean, like you can donate whenever, but this was like, it's always done for charity.
Hmm.
And I think it's just so rad to see video games make an impact on real things.
Totally. It'd be like almost as cool as a couple people watching a bunch of movies and raising money for charity.
I wonder if that's an idea we can do. What if we called it Cinema Saves the World? That's right,
Write
everyone.
that
Cinema.
down. Write that down.
For those of you who don't know, we do that. It's called Cinema Saves the World. Check it out at podcamera.com. We do it like once a year. But
Not myself, tongue and
oh, yes. Yeah, Taylor's not invited. He does not like movies. No, that's not true.
I've seen several.
Okay, my next story is video game related too, apparently. This one was a cool one. A sealed copy of Super Mario 64 sells for $1.5 million.
I heard that. I heard that this week. That's ludicrous.
I come on, people. Like,
I like just getting it and then just opening it, putting it in your place or your Nintendo right away would be amazing.
so this So I collect amiibos for those of you who don't know, and amiibos are just like Nintendo figurines that either have an NFC chip that you can put on your Switch, and it gives you like really like small bonus items in a game most of the time, if at all. And those things, because we live in a world right now that scalpers are way, way, way getting everything now, like Pokemon cards, Magic cards, sports cards, anything
Shoes.
figurines, like they're just out there like crazy. And with amiibos, they're like kind of limited time figures. So this new amiibo for Skyward Sword that just came out, the remake, HD remake of Zelda Skyward Sword. And it's a little amiibo figurine of Zelda and a bird. And you can buy it for $30, but if you missed out on it, now it's already reselling for like $150. It's gross.
Yep, that's how it works. People just have like the algorithms and stuff that snatch them up right away as soon as they drop, which is a damn shame. But yeah, this like spending so much money on a game. It's wild because the game is what, 21 years old, something like that. Sorry, Mario
Mario
64 I'm
64,
talking
yeah, that's it's pretty fucking old.
about. No, but comparatively to like things like that would make it that valuable. Like it's just wild that yeah, I don't know. The
90s,
value of that game shot up like very, very quickly. I mean, I guess if you looked at like an original Super Mario Bros. For the NES
yeah.
unbox or something, like curious what that would sell versus like the N64. They're just, I guess my point is like the nostalgia. I think it's more people our age who grew up with the N64 who have money now and they're like, yeah, I'll buy that shit. Like it's just, yeah.
Yeah. It came in 96. So that's
96. Wow.
25 years of Mario. Yeah. I don't know. It's for it kind of goes back to my point about amiibos here, like to put a cap on that is that when I buy these types of things, I like to open it because I'm not a collector.
Yeah.
I am a collector, but I don't want to keep it in its box. And like some people just want to have like the pristine copy of a thing. And it's, I don't know. I guess if it's your money, do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, I don't know. Help people instead of buying a video game that you're going to put on a shelf. It's so absurd.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. LeBron James, of course, we're not going to talk about it this week because everyone knows how big of a Space Jam guy I am. I literally just watched Space Jam: A New Legacy last night.
Sorry, can I just interrupt for 1 second? I just looked up. In April of this year, a sealed Super Mario Bros. For the original Nintendo sold for $660,000.
Yeah.
So that came out in
gross.
1985 versus the 1996 one that sold for $1.7 million. So it's wild that like these things that are more like you would think the value would be on the older.
I guess it depends on
rarer
how
things.
many came out and things like that. And yeah, because there might be less sealed copies of 64 versus the sealed copy of the NES version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just, yeah, you would think that would be flipped because
Right.
time.
Back to the more important conversation of Space Jam that takes precedent over everything. LeBron James joins Fortnite as a playable athlete. Guess what, everyone? You can play as LeBron James in the popular game Fortnite. Taylor, are you going to fire up Fortnite for the first time?
Well, I am now. Does he use like guns and stuff? Fortnite's guns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does he like throw basketballs or use guns?
Oh, if he doesn't throw basketballs and like his ultimate move is not like some mega slam dunk, it's what's the point?
Exactly.
What's the point?
Did you just super quick? Did you like Space Jam?
It's the new one?
Yeah.
I think that will warrant a full conversation in next week's episode. But the quick version is I liked it in that cadence. I liked it.
Yeah. There seems to be like a lot of asterisks and red flags around that.
All right. Well, here's the quick version because I don't want to make today just a Space Jam thing because I totally can. It's impossible to recapture what I like about Space Jam in a sequel movie. Mm-hmm. I think they did a good job of capturing that magic to a degree. And they introduced this WB crossover thing that was a lot. And people will have opinions about it. It's pretty cool, but also it's distracting to what Space Jam is. That's like, I can definitely keep going on this conversation. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like there's like I think they mostly captured what I like about Space Jam, but there are missed opportunities that if I were to write Space Jam, it would be a different story, for example.
Well, folks, we're glad to announce that Tuong has been tapped to pen Space Jam 3. We're bleeding it dry.
I will say, if I were to write Space Jam 2, not this new legacy stuff, if I were in charge of it, I would have wrote a better movie. Probably. But that's coming from someone who really loves Space Jam. But
and has never written a movie.
Has never written a movie. But I'm pretty sure I could. Well, it's a kid's movie. So, like, I'm pretty sure I can write to the level of, like, oh, bad guy.
You could put Wile E. Coyote in Mad Max. Got it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those stuff is fun. Anyways, Space Jam, it happened. We'll talk more about it next week, or at least I will. And yeah, I know, Taylor, you have your opinions about Space Jam. So let's move on to something you do like, which is Dwayne Johnson.
I love witches. Dwayne Johnson, like The Rock?
Yeah. He keeps releasing just teaser images of Black Adam, and not that you needed to see the image because it's really nothing. It's just him in a black and white photo and you see his back. That's it. But are you excited for Black Adam?
Nope. What's next in the news? I don't care.
Yeah,
it's been talking about it. He's putting out these things for like years. I just don't care. It feels like Ryan Reynolds with Deadpool at this point for me. I'm like, I don't care.
Right. But you were excited for Deadpool when it first came out, weren't you?
Yeah, I enjoyed them. I just don't like everything that surrounds it.
Right.
Like the fans. Kind of like Rick and Morty fans. Like Rick and Morty's great, but the fans and the culture kind of ruin it for me a bit. Love the show, but like, yeah.
I have my gripes with Rick and Morty, mostly that it's so hard to find I want to legally pay for it, and
if you have a VPN, the new episodes drop in Australia and Japan every day or every new week.
Yeah, I know. I just wish I could pay for like a.
That's a legal way to pay for it
in Canada.
Oh,
I don't like because I don't use VPNs because I'm trying to do it off of like a smart TV or like not a computer and stuff like that. Right. So whatever. Let's see here. The next thing in the news is, wait, this is not news. I feel like the news is Shrek's house got added to a video game. I don't know how that's news.
I have no idea. At first, I thought you were saying like Shrek's house got attacked, and I was like, no. And I was like, wait, it's not real. Why is that a news story?
Little tangent here. Do you feel like what is up? Like, I love the original Shrek, but for whatever reason, Shrek is becoming more and more of a like a meme thing of just like
It's the
he
same
just
thing. I
keeps
think it's just
coming.
the kids, like the people that grew up with it. You know what I mean? Like all like culture's so cyclical and like they reboot stuff and it's like 10 years ago they were rebooting things from the 80s, now they're rebooting things from the 90s, now we're getting into like the aughts, so it's like it just kind of works like that because like the people making the calls now are the people that grew up on Shrek, and Shrek was honestly like it was pretty self-referential, like because of Shrek, I'm sure we got like Shrek leads to Space Jam 2 New Legacy. I think those kind of like meta in
Oh
of
yeah.
itself kind of, well, I guess Space Jam 1 probably leads into Space Jam 2 more. But yeah, I don't know. Like it's very like,
No, I
the
know what
pop
you mean
culture
though.
songs and mixing, like there's kind of like the wink and the nod to the audience and like
Yeah. Well, that's
it
what
kind of
Space
shifted the
Jam.
culture a bit. So I think like
Yeah.
Shrek, even though it's Shrek, he's just kind of like he is that he's a rebel, baby. He just kind of shook things up. Like, Disney movies and stuff, like they just the whole first Shrek movie was a fuck you to Disney movies in particular. Like, what was the Gulat? What's the name of the big town or whatever? You stay off the grass, shine your shoes, wipe your face.
face.
Gulat is a happy
Oh
town or
my God.
whatever. Well, that place, whatever that place, like that itself is Disney World or Disneyland. And
Yes.
like, the whole thing. And like, Duloc.
Duloc. Yeah.
Thank you. And like, what's his name? The short, who's the bad guy?
Yeah. Man, it's been so long. Farquaad.
Yeah, whatever.
Farquaad.
Farquaad. Thank you, Lord Farquaad. He's, I think he was, I don't think it was Iger at the time, but whoever the head of Disney was at the time was apparently pretty short. So it's like, that's why he was so tiny as well. So yeah, it just kind of shook things up. And I think people like, yeah, now, like you said, it's perfect for memes and like shit posting. It's just like taking different things and mashing them together. So it's kind of like, I don't know, Shrek, maybe a mascot.
I see what you mean with this whole like crossover thingy, and it's happening more and more.
Well, that's with Space Jam, because we had like Ready Player One, we have Wreck-It Ralph. Like, I've seen the Iron Giant literally charge into battle multiple times since that movie came out. The movie where the point of it was he wasn't a weapon, but then he's in these movies, and it's just like, I don't know. I'm like, I've seen it. With Space Jam, it's like, oh yeah, there's them. I've seen those guys pal around in a movie 3 years ago.
It's not as well, they do talk about it a lot, and that's the distracting thing about the movie a little bit. Like, it's kind of cool, but it's also you're kind of like looking at the background characters while I'm also trying to watch the movie kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the background characters really don't actually do anything except kind of cheer on the game, which is the right way to do that. But also it's like something's happening. I'm like, oh, the Clockwork Orange guys are there for whatever reason. The Mask is right over there, and Penguin is there. Catwoman is there. It's like
it almost, just from the trailers, it feels like the story's pretty weak. So it's just like, we can't entertain people, but like, just give them a Where's Waldo the whole time, and no one will notice.
The story. Oh man, I keep going back to Space Jam. Last thing I'll say about before I move on to next week is the story is better than. Like, they go for stuff that they didn't go in the first movie, but they don't go far enough. That's what I have to say about that. Yeah. The stakes are higher, I guess. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Don Cheadle. Let's talk about Don Cheadle. He was also in Space Jam, but we're not going to talk about Don Cheadle in Space Jam. We're going to talk about how he got an Emmy nomination for Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I didn't see the noms list. I only saw an article that said he was like, I don't get it either.
Yeah, that's it. He got an Emmy nomination for guest appearance in a TV show or whatever.
Wasn't he in like that first episode, like Took the Shield?
He was in the first episode and the last episode for, I think someone timed it. He was in like 3 minutes of the whole series.
He didn't, he just like, he cheated it. Love Cheadle, but like, he's just like, hi, okay, bye.
Yeah, I don't get it. He doesn't get it.
I think his quote was, I don't get it either. Yeah.
But it's funny to me because some people were like, Cheadle, you have to drop out or whatever. Like, you got to like pull your like nomination out or whatever it is. And it's like, well, Don Cheadle, the way the words work is other people nominate people for these. Like, he didn't have a say in this.
Disney sends out pretty much for everybody, like on all their shows, like they'll have just like for your consideration, anyone that's guested. So
yeah,
I don't know. Let's
talk about Dan Harmon reveals his biggest challenge in developing a community movie. Do you want that, a community movie?
Not now. I don't know, like I haven't seen too many comedy movies that take, or a show to a movie in this case, but like take, an extended amount of time and then like release a sequel 15 years later. Dumb and Dumber 2, Anchorman 2, Zoolander 2. They generally don't hit.
but based on like a TV show and stuff like that. I guess I didn't see this. Like, let's say the Entourage movie was one of them.
Sex in the City. Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
the
see that
same. It's
either.
kind of like it's such a gap. Like I love Community, like the early stuff. I don't know. It's just I don't need it personally. I don't like how hungry were the fans for the last seasons. Like I watched the last season of that show on yahoo.com because it got moved off NBC because people weren't watching it. So I'm
Yeah.
like,
We just
where were
recently
you then? I would have loved a movie then.
we
Not
recently
now.
rewatched all of it. I've seen it all I've seen the first three seasons like a million times. Everything else I've seen like once. And Laura's never seen all of it. And like, yeah, you can see as season 5 and 6 happen and Dan Harmon's back, it's like it's a different show and it's like not what it was. Obviously
Yeah.
people leave and all this other stuff and they've graduated from Greendale, but now they're back and it's like, why are they back? It's a whole
Yeah, it's contrived a bit. And it's
yeah.
just, yeah, I don't know. I haven't actually like revisited it at all, which is surprising.
It's still like some of the early stuff's good. There's a good quote in this though, and I think it's a really testament to like a creative brain. And he's like, "Do you want to see these people play dress up in their old outfits and come and go? Look at me, meet, moop, moop, meet, moop, moop." That's the quote. Look
Yeah.
what I used to do. Yes, to some degree. No, to some degree. Contrary to that, do you want to see these people not doing that and coming in like a pantsuit and going, "I'm an adult now. Remember when we did this?" It's kind of like, what do people actually want? And he was talking about like, are you making this movie accessible for new viewers who've never seen Community, or are you doing this strictly for the fans? It's a weird thing. It's been long enough that maybe it shouldn't happen.
Totally. Like if Harmon wants to do it, absolutely power to him. I don't particularly care, but it is a tough thing. It's like The Force Awakens, honestly, for all the flack it got, did a good job because that was a sequel, but also it was a reboot and it had to introduce new people. So it's like, they remade A New Hope. Basically, it's a remake of that movie, just like an update. But like it's just like lots of new people are watching this, lots of old people. Some people are going to want everything changed, others aren't. So we need to give them, and like, I don't know, maybe that's a pretty good example. It's like, do you want a Force Awakens of a Community movie? I didn't mind that. I thought it was good, but I don't need it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you only want it because the people who watch the show, there's a famous line that says 6 seasons in a movie.
Exactly.
And they got the 6 seasons. Where's the movie? It's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. The last news story that I have for you is, did you see this thing called the Steam Deck?
Yeah, those are pretty cool. There's a second one as well. Not Steam, but a different handheld thing. You put the two things on your phone.
Oh, that thing. Yeah.
Yeah. They came out like within a couple days of each other, but pretty cool. The Steam Deck. It's a PC, I saw.
Yeah, for people who don't know, it's essentially just a Nintendo Switch looking thing, but it's powered like a PC. In fact, you can run Windows OS on it. So anything you can do on a computer, you can do on this thing that looks like a Switch.
I saw a video. Yeah, he just like plugs it into a laptop, or excuse me, into a monitor.
Like a TV, yeah.
Yeah, and like the mouse and the keyboard. So he's just using it, but like there's no computer. The computer is the whatever the thing is called.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it seems expensive, honestly, but it's the idea is that you can play all of your Steam games from your library. For those of you who don't know, Steam is like the biggest game library client ever. You can download and buy video games from it. So the idea of like having access to all of your computer games on this thing that is like the Nintendo Switch, pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. I'm sure someone will hack it too, and you could even play Switch games on it.
Yeah, I bet you that's probably right. Yeah. I think that's it for the news of the week. I think there was something big that happened that I'm totally missing, but I don't see it. So frig it, whatever. We're going into the show of the week. Taylor, do you want to introduce it?
Loki. Forgot there for a second.
You really believe in this Loki variant?
Luckily, he believes in himself enough for the both of us.
Why? It is adorable that you think you could possibly manipulate me.
You're like, Captain, and
It's like WandaVision. No, Loki.
Right. We are in the third Marvel TV show right now. So before we get into all of that, of course, we are going to talk spoilers. But before that, I want to get a general check-in with Taylor. Taylor, how do you feel about Marvel's TV show output so far up to Loki? Obviously, this is the third one now.
Yeah. I think they're solid. I think WandaVision's still the best one. I think we might have even discussed this last time, but it's really getting to the point now, seeing three of them. I really understand what the shows are more like. Their complete setup. It is just, I saw like a tweet months ago that was just like the shows are only here to explain name and costume changes between movies. And I was like, that's pretty legit. And now like seeing that, I'm like, oh, because Loki I thought was good. But it's like so much happened. But then at the end of it, I'm like, I feel like not a lot happened. And like that's kind of the same with a lot of these shows.
Yeah.
You know what? Even like Falcon and Winter Soldier, like they globe trotting, they're jumping all over. And then like at the end of it, and I'm like, so what happened? And be like, oh, he got the shield. Basically.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of in this one, it's like, oh, the thing happened at the end.
Yeah, I think like I agree to an extent. Like the TV shows are really good at expanding character moments or like expanding the character itself for these side characters, quote unquote, that never got their own movie. So now we're getting it.
Totally.
So that when we enter an actual movie, we don't have to spend as much time learning about their motivations and their past and stuff like that. We can spend the slower time on a TV show to do that, which is what I appreciate about it. I have a different opinion about what I like best and stuff like that, but we'll get there when we get there, kind of thing. And you want to set up where Loki sits on the timeline and all that.
Hold on. What's your opinion? Why? I want to hear that. But shit, Brian, what's yours?
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get there. I want to tease it out after we talk about it. So yeah, where do you want to set up where Loki is on, like, in the conjunction of the entire MCU and all that stuff?
Well, in Endgame, basically the show starts with it. In Endgame, they go back in time to 2012, the attack in New York, and Loki grabs a Tesseract, which is a space cube that allows you to teleport. And he grabs that, disappears in that movie. The last we see of him, and then the show picks up right there. And then he gets trapped by time cops called the TVA, and they take him to time jail. And we got Owen Wilson. Yeah, as Mobius.
Yeah. Wow. He doesn't say it once. So good for him for the restraint on not.
I have one huge complaint with the show, and we'll get to that in time.
Oh, now you're teasing me.
How's that feel?
It doesn't feel good. Yeah. So we're looking at a different Loki, because the Loki that we knew from all the movies, let's say from Thor 2 onwards, died in Infinity War. Thanos killed him, and then that's why we're getting this new Loki. So this new Loki, you get, when I first saw the show, I'm like, oh, we're gonna have like a more immature Loki kind of thing. But they quickly kind of catch him up to where the other Loki was. They show
him one of those Marvel Legends recaps, and then he starts to cry, and then they just catch him up to the good guy.
Yeah, exactly. Because as we know, Loki, or if you don't know, now you know, and you should. I feel like a lot of these.
Sorry, Loki's the God of Mischief, folks. Yeah. He's played by Tom Hiddleston, famously.
I feel like if
he's
you're
green.
Listening to this episode, you probably have an attachment to this. Like, it'd be so weird to watch any of these shows and not watch any of the movies.
That's true.
I think we're there, right? Like, Marvel does not need to waste its time explaining it to newcomers or whatever.
You've seen Lunchboxes? Yeah, you know Marvel.
But yeah, he basically, in the first episode, watches a highlight reel of himself and what happens, and he's just like, okay, I've learned them all. I learned all the lessons. I am now the good guy.
Efficient. I liked it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, don't waste any other time. I guess he's not like fully a good guy at all.
He's
like,
Loki.
He's Loki. Yeah, he's supposed to, you can't trust him, kind of thing, right? Okay, so we're gonna start touching on spoilers soon, but let's talk about the cast. Who else do we have in this show, Taylor?
We've got, you said, Owen Wilson. He's Mobius. He's basically the time cop that's tasked with taking care of Loki. He's like under his eye. Then we've got Judge Ravonna Renslayer. She's the head of the TVA. Well, no, she's not the head of the TVA. The head of the TVA are 3 lizard people that only she talks to. Seems sus, probably nothing there. Then we've got Sylvie, who's a variant of Loki, which just means she's from a different dimension. But yeah, this Loki is a girl with blonde hair, different powers. She has mind control, basically, whereas Loki had basically shoots out knives from his hands.
Yeah.
That's his thing.
He's a conjurer. She's an enchantress, that type of thing.
Right. For God of Mischief, he only grabs those knives. Yeah, and then it's great supporting cast. I don't really want to say too many others because I don't know what you want to say.
Yeah, that's fair. So, yeah, I am curious do you feel like this show is also only 6 episodes? We got that with Falcon and the Winter Soldier too. And I feel like we're at a point where we can start comparing like some of these shows together. Do you feel like this show told a more cohesive season of a show than Falcon? I'm not going to count WandaVision yet because that one was like over like a 8 or 9 episode run.
Yeah, but if the episodes were shorter, so if you like time it out, it's about the same.
It's about the same. Okay, then we can compare.
That's
it to
the
each
same
other.
with all the shows, so you can look forward to that.
Maybe I'll tell you like what I like the thing that I hid from you earlier. I felt that Loki, the show, told a more like tighter like storytelling, I guess, of a thing. And for me, it stuck the landing of the season more than the other TV shows personally. Like I really like WandaVision. I think you and I were the same in the sense that on a week-to-week basis, I was more excited to see WandaVision because there was a mystery happening and they have like sitcom tropes. And I'm like, I can't wait to see how they tackle the 90s or whatever it is. So that really kept me going too. But in terms of how they stuck the landing of WandaVision, they pretty much got there, but it also didn't seem as exciting as like the early parts of WandaVision where I was like kept to be like, oh, the mystery was more exciting than the actual end result.
Totally. Kind of well, it's about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah,
man.
I know. But with Loki itself, like you get, and we will talk about what happened.
It was the destination for Loki more than the journey.
And I was really excited at the end of Loki. I was like, oh, cool. And spoilers, we get a season 2 of Loki. So like I felt really like energized to see another season of Loki because of what happened overall. But yeah, like if I compare my excitement week to week, definitely give it to WandaVision. But overall, I was more satisfied with what I saw with Loki. So that would be my favorite show of the 3.
Oh, nice. Yeah, totally. It definitely, even though they hopped around time and stuff, it did seem a little more focused. It told us that's what I mean. So much happened, but at the same time, it feels like not a lot happened because I'm like, it told a smaller story, but it's like, no, this tells literally the biggest story of any MCU property yet. But it feels because most of the show is just dialogue. It's just back and forth.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that there is quite a lot and like really pretty backdrops. And
yeah, it'll just be like Mobius and Loki sitting in a room on weird chairs talking about, I don't know, like his love life or what it means. What's his big plan thing that he always
glorious purpose.
My glorious purpose. Yeah. Just talking about that shit. Or it'll just be like just different people talking about like ethics and like philosophy and stuff in different locations.
Yeah. I think we're in a really weird and exciting time in the MCU in general because we're like doing so since Endgame. It's like, okay, we introduced the concept of time and branching timelines and all this other stuff. So with this show, they really go hard on that. Like the TVA is supposed to keep the timeline cleansed, right? Like if there's branches, exactly. But with this show, they really go for it. And I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What were like some of your favorite parts?
Yeah, I think Sylvie, that character, like the female Loki, was like, okay, where are we? I'm like, first of all, spoilers again. I can keep saying that, but like, she is I had my doubts that she was actually a Loki for a little bit. I thought she would be like a different character. People were guessing like Enchantress, for example, in the Marvel comics.
Enchantress.
Is she?
She's Loki, but also Enchantress.
Is she confirmed as that character though? Because like, isn't Enchantress like the daughter of Loki in the comics or something?
Loki gives Enchantress her powers in the comics, but she's also a blonde-haired woman who wears green, named Sylvie. One of them was, and like literally, Tuong, what is Sylvie's power?
No,
What is
I
it
know.
called?
No, I know that, but
Say
did
it.
they call her that?
Say it.
I said it was enchanting, but like,
Enchant. Yeah. But like, that's the thing. She specifically, the whole series, she's like, I'm not a Loki. Don't call me Loki. She makes a point that she's different and she doesn't want to use that name. So
I guess they never actually officially. I know. I'm being a dick.
no, but I'm like,
they
but
never
they
like.
also didn't say Kang. Spoilers, but that's who it is.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I really liked her. I think she was great. For me, I really liked Owen Wilson, and I feel like when I brought him up, you said there was one part that you didn't like about the show. What did it have to do with Owen Wilson?
Owen Wilson fucking no, I'm kidding. It did. It was Owen Wilson. It was just they set up just like Chekhov's shotgun, folks. It was Chekhov's jet ski. He talks about the jet ski magazine and like he just talks about like, yeah, it's the ultimate combination of like style and utility or whatever. And he goes on and then like he just talks about that's how what he always wanted. And then a later episode, he also mentions it again. So they dropped it twice. And like I was like, if I don't see Mobius on a jet ski by the end of this fucking series, I'm gonna lose it. And they didn't give it to us. And it just like it felt like I wanted to see him in his suit on a jet ski, like a 1990s jet ski. I just don't know why they didn't give that to us.
Well, they're gonna give us season 2, and they're gonna drop. Yeah, I know.
I don't care.
Are you excited for a season 2 from the events from this?
I don't. Sure, like I'll watch it. I don't particularly. Yeah.
I think like to me, it's exciting of where they left the whole show. But I know I'm jumping around now.
I'm excited where they left the show, but I don't need to see that character going through the.
I liked Owen Wilson. I think he was a good supporting character compared to some of the other ones that we've received in some of the other Marvel shows. I mean,
Totally,
one's
but
Catherine
how good
Hahn.
would he play off of like Paul Rudd's Ant-Man?
Maybe good. He's pretty grounded. He's kind of a dick. I really like his relationship to Loki throughout the series. I think they have a good
chemistry.
Very good chemistry together. Yeah. It's
Sophia
fun stuff.
DiMartino, Sylvie, and Tom Hiddleston have amazing chemistry as well. But like the best chemistry is Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston because their scenes together are magic.
Yeah. Do you also get like a love story in this season 2 of TV show? Like it's nothing groundbreaking, but it is also kind of genius in the way that like Loki falls in love with a version of himself. I think that's like a really smart way to handle love for that
That
character.
is the most narcissistic thing I've ever heard.
It is. It's great. Yeah. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, tracks.
It works. It works for me. Who else do we get?
Loki also confirmed on screen bisexual, fluid. Boom.
Yeah, where I'm trying to like I saw that, but I also forget when that confirmation happened.
When they were on when Loki and Sylvie were on the train on Lamentus 1. They were just having a conversation. She just asked him, she's like, oh, of like men, women. He's like, both. I'm sure the same as you. And she's like, yep.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay. Yes. I do remember that now. I liked the TVA setup in this show. I liked the idea of like this, like
you're gonna love the Wizard of Oz.
This Fallout, like the video game Fallout, the technology where it's like you got this super advanced technology, but it also looks like super old school technology too. So like you got like holograms and all this crazy stuff happening, but also you have like these dinky computers that do it all. I love that type of stuff.
There's a term for that. It's retrofuturism. And look at those are great examples, or like the Alien movies and Star Wars, probably the best one because those are series that started in the 70s. So that's what a computer was. But then like the series is still going now, but like shit, well, that was the tech. So it's people like back in time envisioning what the future would have been and going with that.
Right. Yeah. I just think like the world building with the TVA was really cool just to have that as the baseline and like the idea of like there's like just like concepts in the show that were just like, oh, this is fun, like the probing aspect or what they call it, pruning. And like they would basically have like this baton that they would activate, and if you get touched by it, you get pruned, whatever that means.
Zappy sticks.
Which turns out you get zapped to like another world, or is it another dimension, or what is it exactly?
It's kind of just a void.
A void?
It's a void. Yeah. I think it's cool. I heard somebody compare the sling rings to the zappy sticks because they both spark. Oh, the sling rings that Doctor Strange uses, those teleporting circles.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, ooh, I like that because I like the idea of Marvel is like magic and science, if you take a step back far enough, it's all the same source, but it's just different ways of channeling it.
Doesn't Thor make a whole speech about
He
that
does
in the first movie?
He does,
Yeah.
but then like there are characters, because he's an alien, but like then there are characters like Doctor Strange who's just magic, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a character like Hank Pym who's just fucking
A dude,
whatever. Yeah, scientist. But like, so those are separate. But like, I like the ideas like, you know, Doctor Strange used those sling rings, the TVA, who are all time travel people, use those sticks. But like, if they're both sparking and giving that effect and it sends someone somewhere, it's like, to me, I'm like, it feels like they're both tapping into a same kind of energy, but it's like just different kind of ways to channel that energy and like studies that have evolved. And like, yeah, I just think that's kind of neat.
That is cool. If I were to talk about a favorite moment in the show or a favorite episode, I would probably give it to the 5th episode, which is when Loki. Okay, so set up for those of you who watch the show, obviously spoilers again, but they're all kind of serving the timekeepers, like this entity that turns out is fake. Like there's no timekeepers. They had like they're like godlike figures that are supposed to keep everything on the sacred timeline like straight, but it turns out those guys never really existed. They were just kind of there.
You never believed they were real, did you?
No, but I was curious as to what were they. Like I don't know. Like I knew something was fishy about them, but I wanted to see how it played out, and I'm glad to see how it did. And I forget where I was going. Oh yes, so like Loki gets pruned, the Tom Hiddleston one, and he ends up in this void where a bunch of other Lokis were also pruned. And I think this is the most fun of the whole series. There is like different types of Lokis.
Yeah, we get boastful Loki, classic Loki, and kid Loki. Oh, and Florida Loki, who Steph is calling him.
Right.
The little alligator with the crown.
Gator Loki. Yeah. Did you like those like different variations of Loki?
Oh, yeah. I thought they're fantastic. Richard E. Grant was classic Loki, and it looked like ripped right out of the comic books, and it looked so good. He was great and actually used magic instead of just throwing knives. I think he even chirps Loki for like using blades at one point. And I really liked Kid Loki. His voice was so soft. I was like, man, he just felt like a baby. It like really seems like a kid. And I'm sure I talk about this every time we do a Marvel show, but like Young Avengers champions, like again, right. One of the founding people on that team is Kid Loki. It's like, it's coming, folks.
But the kid is like good. And then he drops like, oh, what was your Nexus event? I killed Thor. And you're like, oh, shit. Like,
well, the kid's not even good. He's the badass. He's the leader of all the Lokis there.
I know.
Like, you follow a child, and he's like, you'd be right to do wise by the kid or something like that.
Yeah. He's badass. We also get like a little Easter egg of Frog Thor in that episode too. Just like, and you see
underground.
Like, yeah, it's so cool. Like there's a lot of good details in there.
There's also like just little things like there's a big sphinx with a nose in the void. And there's like I think it's Huang. It looks like the Avengers Tower, but it has like Huang or Quang is what it is. I think is the
What's
name.
That?
We'll get to that when we get to who's in the one at the end. But then there's also like a big remember that big battleship dropped on the ground, and then Alioth, this giant watchdog of the void, basically comes down and like eats them all. But like that ship was a World War II ship that mysteriously disappeared.
Oh,
like,
that's
a nice. I didn't know that. I was like, that's really cool.
That's a good detail. I like that. I like that.
I just mentioned Alioth, the big watchdog. He's protecting something at the end of time.
Right. I think we're all building towards this conversation that if you watch the show, you know what happens. But we'll get there. But yes, I just want to get to this Richard E. Grant thing again. I really, and you already mentioned it, but I just want to give props to like how much he just soaks in this role. He's only in this one episode and he dies, spoilers, but he just takes it away. He makes a meal out of like the 20 minutes of screen time he actually gets.
He also got one line at the end of the episode before that.
Oh, right. What he just
he's just like, come with us.
Yeah.
You know, get your shit. Let's go.
He says glorious purpose, and he's using his magic to make like a conjured version of Asgard and stuff like that. It's really good stuff. Yeah,
really cool.
It's like a lot of CG, obviously, not real magic people. But yeah, I think like the break between. So WandaVision was like magical and mysterious. Then you get grounded with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then going to another show with magic, I think was the right way to do it. Because I think like too much magic in the MCU CG fest might be a little bit much.
Yeah, that's
personally.
funny you say magic though, because I picture this as like a sci-fi show.
Yeah, but they use magic.
Yeah, like Loki does. Loki and Sylvie do, but then like everyone else is they're the magic users, but they're in a sci-fi world.
Right. Everyone's comparing this to like a Doctor Who type of thing, which I've never seen Doctor Who, so I don't know. I'm not sure. Have you seen Doctor Who? Do you know? Can you make that comparison at all?
I haven't seen it, but you can definitely make that comparison. It's right there on the surface.
Right.
They're definitely inspired. Not a knock. Like people love Doctor Who and they did a good job.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to the final episode of the season here. What it's all built up to be. So, who is the timekeeper? Who's the true timekeeper, Taylor? And do you want to give an explanation of this character?
Jonathan Majors, the guy from Lovecraft Country, opens the thing and he's just standing there. What's he call himself? The one at the end?
The one who remains.
The one who remains. Yeah, they don't actually name him, but he's basically he made the TVA to basically throttle the multiverse into one timeline that he can control.
Yeah. Jonathan Majors was also in Last Man in San Francisco too. And
Last Black Man in
San Francisco. And I really, really liked him in that role. That was the only thing I've seen him in because I didn't see Lovecraft Country. Unfortunately got canceled, right? That show. Boo. I really wanted to check it out. Is it still worth watching?
Yeah, you can still watch. It's all on Crave. It's on HBO. So
yeah, okay, all right. It doesn't leave on like a cliffhanger that I'll have to like. Okay.
As a completionist, you might not love it.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I just think he did such a fun, like he had so much fun with this like role of the Conqueror, like very kind of like energetic.
He was chewing an apple literally as soon as you see him. It's like the classic bad guy is like, oh my God.
But he's like a energetic bad guy that is like up to something nefarious as well. But
also it's because he tells you like he doesn't lie. He tells them everything. He's like, I'm not lying. He's like, this is what I'm doing.
And yeah, we find out like the last episode is very dialogue heavy. It pretty much takes place in a single room. Yeah,
like Owen Wilson and Renslayer in the TVA, and then Loki, Sylvie, and the one who remains at the other spot. And it's basically just conversation.
But it's like important for like it's the biggest thing that's happened for the MCU in a while, which is cool that it happened.
It's the biggest thing that's happened. Period. Someone is like, oh, this is like almost as big as Endgame. I was like, Endgame was one universe. This literally opened up infinite universes. This is infinitely bigger than Endgame.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about. So the Jonathan Majors, they don't name him, but we've talked about it. It's Kang the Conqueror, who's in the comics. I personally don't know too much about Kang. I know a little bit, but I know.
Well, what is his descriptor in the show, like that he explains? Like, what does he say there with his little pin art, like that liquid metal thing?
Yeah, that was kind of cool. I like that visual. So from what I gathered in his explanation is essentially that he is just a dude. He's just a regular human being who just is very, very, very smart and learned like I don't know the exact wording, but like he knows a lot about the universe and the cosmic stuff.
Yeah, and he discovered the existence of the multiverse.
Exactly. And then so he was able to open doorways to the multiverse, and other versions of himself figured it out too. So they all started collaborating together, and it was good for a while. And then there's obviously variants, which is a huge thing in the show, which is another version of yourself from a different like branching timeline. Other variants of himself were also much more selfish and bad. And in some timelines, he was a conqueror. In some timelines, he was like a god or like really
there was just a massive war, basically, like a multiversal war between them all.
Yeah. And what happened was this version of Kang the Conqueror figured out a way to basically kind of cut out all the other ones and keep it all into this one timeline, this sacred timeline. And the whole purpose of the TVA is to take out those branches so more Kangs don't pop up again, because more Kang the Conquerors is bad news, because this obviously with someone with that much knowledge and a knack for conquering stuff, you don't want more of them out there. So for him, he believes he is Yeah, he's evil. He knows it, but he believes he is the better one of those ones. So he gives the Lokis a choice at the very end of the episode, being like, hey, look, I don't want to, like, I'm kind of tired doing this. How about you guys take over the TVA? You guys, like, you can keep it. It's your throne. You can do whatever you want with it. Or you can kill me, which is also exciting because I don't care. I've lived a long time. And if you kill me, more branches will come out and I'm just going to end up back in this seat anyways, which I love the way he, like, his confidence with it is really exciting. So we get a thing of like the two Lokis fighting it out because Sylvie wants to kill Kang the Conqueror. He's like the cause of all of her bad upbringings and everything. She's been wanting revenge for a long time. They share Loki and Sylvie share a kiss, and Sylvie stabs Kang the Conqueror. And I just love this scene and how it plays out because he doesn't give a shit. Yeah, he's dying, like, and he's smiling. Yeah, he's like, woo, this is great. You're an idiot.
Yeah, and then like behind him, the sacred timeline he just sees just starts to like branch and like basically explode. It looks like a universe, like, you know, just like a net, like all these single little lines just start to like, it's crazy.
It's like if you didn't watch the show yet, picture like in Endgame when Tilda Swinton was showing that one line and things were starting to branch. It's like that, but more.
If that just started to cover the sky and you couldn't see anything else, is basically what happened.
And then we get,
but yes, Sylvie was just basically pissed because like he started the TVA, which took her life from her, but also like they had a big conversation about like free will and like whether or not, like, that was her big sticking point. She's like, you took away free will, and he's like, well, I did for a purpose. And like, that was kind of, that's why she stabbed him. It was very interesting because it was her choice. And like you mentioned at the start when we talked about it, is Loki has trust issues. And that's literally like, that's the whole thing at the end when they're fighting is like, can Sylvie trust him? And she can't trust anybody, which you see, which is, I think, why she's going to be a bad guy. But then like, because like I said, it's like, like Jonathan Majors was telling the truth the whole time. He wasn't lying. Like, right. But she just, and like, Loki like tries to stop her. He's like, he's not lying. And then she's like, fuck you, kiss, get out of here. Yeah. Kiss yourself from a different variant kiss. Would you kiss yourself, Taylor? A different variant of yourself? I'd have to get, one of those like Snapchat lady filters, see how I look, but TBD.
We'll see what happens. I don't know. If
maybe get a blowout.
If there was a variant of myself who was attractive, I guess it doesn't have to be attractive because they.
I don't think. Yeah, people are talking about like self-cest and twin-cest and stuff. It's like, well, if they're variants, they don't share the same DNA and they didn't have the same upbringing. It's like, so it's not that weird. Seriously, it's like those are the two. You would think it's like, it's like even if two people aren't related, if they grow up together from like infants and then they like, that's still horrible because they had the same like upbringing. But if they grew up in different universes, who gives a shit? Right.
This is just permission for Taylor to go kiss himself once the opportunity arises.
Exactly. Ooh, that mirror is in for a treat.
Like the line of like, you can't trust and I can't be trusted it really hit home of like the thesis of the show, which was really good. And I think the acting between, I forget her name. It's Sophia something. I'm going to look it up real quick.
DiMartino.
Right. I've never seen her in anything else, but their chemistry is really good. Like you talked before. And I think this scene is like a good culmination of how their interactions are. You can feel it in the way they're talking to each other. Tom Hiddleston is like so... And this wouldn't work if it was just the old version of Loki, the 2012 Loki. It has to be a more mature one where he's just like, no, like, I'm different. I changed. Like, I don't care about the throne. I care about you.
Need to watch this movie they showed me. It'll change everything.
It's really good. You should watch it.
The production value is like, whoa, they got that sweeping shot from the Avengers and everything.
Maybe skip Thor too.
Turns out that movie's like more pivotal as the series goes on.
It's true. It really is. Well, I mean, the best parts of Thor 2 really were the Tom Hiddleston and Thor and the mom stuff. Like that was the best part for sure. 100%. Everything else kind of sucked. But I just really liked that moment in the show. And I think it was just so good. And so when Sylvie stabs him, and he's smiling. He says, "See you soon." I think that was such a nice line for like Kang to be like, "Haha, you're stupid."
Yeah, fucked up.
And it's cool to see that this character too, he basically has a script of the show because he's just like, hey, this is what you're going to say next. This is what you're going to say next. And then there's a moment where he's just like, I literally don't know.
I liked that moment. You could like, I knew what was happening at the moment because he just like stopped and he was looking around and like, yeah, just very strange. And then what did he do? He picked something up and dropped it. He was like, huh.
Yeah.
I know what's going to happen next. I've never been here.
Okay. So going into Kang the Conqueror, because you know more about it than I do, you want to give up like a setup of what this character is in the comics?
Yeah, well, like he says in the show, he's a scientist from the 31st. This version of him, a scientist from the 31st century named Nathaniel Richards. He's a descendant of Reed and possibly Victor Von Doom. But yeah, he discovers the shit and he goes back. There's just a bunch of different variants of him that try to take over the timeline. He takes different names like Ramat Tut. He fought the Fantastic Four in ancient Egypt once, and then he was stuck back there. So he became Ramat Tut, and he was like the head of Egypt, basically using future tech. His ship was a flying sphinx with a nose.
Oh,
there it is. Yeah,
That's
another one, something like Quang, just like one of his human counterparts who was a businessman. So like that, seeing the tower, like the Quang on the Avengers Tower, was like also
okay.
it's like, oh, there's another one. So it's just like, yes, it's friggin' him. What's his name? Immortus is an even older version of Kang, who's kind of closer to what this guy was, but he's evil, like really bad. And Kang the Conqueror is one of the versions of them. He wears like the purple and green. He's got the purple helmet and the blue faceplate.
Kind of looks like a sentinel, but like not.
Kind of,
like...
yeah. Which is, I think, at the end, that's where Loki is. It's TVA because he looked up and like that statue of Jonathan Majors looked pretty classic Kang without the helmet. He had that like kind of neck thing.
Right. Yeah.
And there's like different ones. There's Silver Centurion. There's Iron Lad from the Young Avengers, folks. That's a different version of Nathaniel Richards from the future. Like one of his counterparts was trying to take him back to be evil. And then he's like, no, I don't like you. Came back in time. A damaged version of the Vision taught him everything he knows. They built him like an Iron Man suit. So you know Iron Lad from the Young Avengers?
I don't, but I knew he was. Yes. Yeah.
That's he's a Kang. And that was like a big reveal. They're like, what? You're Kang? And he's like, I'm not that one. I'm a good one.
So Kang seems pretty like apt to have as the bad guy because of this whole like multi-dimensional skipping and all this other stuff. And I just want to theory craft with you a little bit. So first of all, as you just described, Kang comes in many different forms and he's not always a bad guy.
Nathaniel Richards comes in many different forms.
Sure.
Kang is one of them. Kang the Conqueror is one of them.
Right. Oh, it's so it's so complicated. But yes, Nathaniel Richards, and there's so many different versions. He can be evil, he can be good, he can be everything in between.
Usually evil.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
There's like Victor Timely is another human businessman version of him. Like just a dick.
So does he have any powers other than just being very smart in tech?
Future tech. So he's born in the 31st century, came back with that future tech to rule.
Okay. But he's still like obviously a big threat in Marvel Comics.
Well, totally. You saw what he could do. He had basically I don't know if it's an advanced or a primitive version of the Tempad. He just programmed everything and you literally couldn't touch him because he knew what you were going to do. Right. That's literally only one piece of tech. Imagine that with a gun or a fucking stick and he would kill you.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting.
He fights the Avengers and the Fantastic Four usually. I don't know. So honestly, I don't read I like Fantastic Four, but I don't fuck with Avengers comics really. So I haven't read that much of him. He's kind of he's a headache because you can imagine with continuity.
Yeah. Well, once you introduce like timeline stuff, you have to have a character like this who's just like, I'm everywhere. Woo.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's the thing. It's like if you make him too powerful, it's like tone it down.
So do you think he is like he will be a mainstay bad, like Thanos level bad? Is he the next guy like that we're looking at? I don't know. I have no idea. Like we know that he's the bad guy in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. They announced that last year.
So that's why like this whole show, I just kind of like, and it was like, I think it's Kang, because Ravonna Renslayer is Kang's like love interest in the comic books, by the way.
Oh, okay. I
The
didn't know
judge.
that.
Yeah, but like stuff like that. And that's what I was like, those guys aren't real. He just made it to like control the timeline. And it just kind of was like, yep, that's what happened. Yeah, basically, if I'm theory crafting, well, we know he's the bad guy in Quantumania. I think the TVA is in the quantum realm. My cousin, he sent me a screenshot that in the last Ant-Man movie, when he's going through the quantum realm, like if you pause at one point, there's a city in the background.
And they think it's that city, the TVA city?
Well, it makes sense, right? Because time moves differently in the quantum zone.
Oh, so
And right, and
complicated.
do you remember whenever they're in the TVA and they look out and you see the city,
Right, yes.
and it just
yeah.
like stretches on endless.
Right, yeah. You don't
Yeah.
get much of it. Yeah, you get like a
No,
window
you just
view.
get a glimpse, and like that's So I think it's going to be all like, and I think that's how like Kang is going to get tied into Ant-Man and shit, because all the shrinking and the quantum, and it's literally called Quantumania. So he's going to pop up there, but I don't know. I don't know if that is to maybe set him up for future movies, or it's to almost streamline the timeline. Because, you know, Loki introduces a bunch of this stuff and like the time travel and multiverse, and like maybe have a movie in 2 years' time. And it's just kind of like, okay, Kang's going to set a new rule, so we can't do all of that. Or, you know what I mean? Like he could be used to almost like throttle it back a bit, or to go further. I don't know.
How far
But
do you...
I don't think there's going to be a singular Thanos again. I think...
Okay, you don't think that. Okay.
No, I think we might have talked about this before, but I think it'd be cool if like Mephisto pops up as the threat for the magical people. Kang pops, I don't know, he can do whatever, Fantastic Four. Like Galactus would be another big threat, or Annihilus maybe, but like I think it'd be cool if they were more like specialized. So like, yeah, if Mephisto pops up, we're going back to that well tongue. But yeah, then you could get like Doctor Strange, and like he could recruit Wanda and like Wong, and like take in more Brother Voodoo from the comics, and like
I don't know who that is.
he became the Sorcerer Supreme after Steven.
Oh, interesting.
He's really cool, really cool.
Okay.
Like Magic from the X-Men, she's so fucking cool. But like, you know what I mean? But like you could build it up like that way, and then it's like you don't have an Avengers movie, but you could have like a Savage Avengers movie, or you could have like a Secret Avengers movie, or a New Avengers movie, and
okay.
different kind of specialized. Like you could have a Marvel Knights, like Moon Knight and like Daredevil and Spider-Man and Iron Fist, and like have them be like, oh, their big bad is like the Kingpin amassed an army or something, and like but you know what I mean? It's like Captain Marvel is never going to like interact with this guy like Iron Fist, because they're not fighting the same threats until there is maybe like a Galactus. That's why I say I don't want a full another like big Avengers movie for like 8 years.
Right.
Because I think you could do mini versions of that. And
I agree, you can, but like on a studio, like on paper, it's just like, no, Avengers movies make money. And
yeah, but if you keep putting them out over and over with the entire cast, it's like, what's the draw? It's like we've seen that in Endgame.
It's true. Yeah, you're right. They'd have to build it quite like for years. And yeah, I would agree. I don't
like
want
a young Avengers movie. Like,
sure,
keep bringing that up, but they're so building to that. Thunderbolts or Dark Avengers, whatever that's going to be.
Is that confirmed? A Dark Avengers?
No, but like we were talking about that with, you know, Valeria Contessa, whatever, De La Fontaine.
yeah.
She's got like Black Widow. She's got she'll get Abomination on Shang-Chi, I'm sure. She's got US Agent. Like she's assembling her own team.
Is Shang-Chi part of that crew?
No, but in the Shang-Chi,
right,
he's in that. Abomination's in that trailer, and I've always thought that Abomination would end up on their team as the Hulk, because we knew he's in the Raft.
Right. Oh, so many things. There's a lot of,
and she'll probably show up in Armor Wars and get like Justin Hammer or someone to be their Iron Man.
You know
in
what?
Like an
I
Iron
completely
Patriot
forgot
suit.
that show was even happening. The Don Cheadle Armor Wars show. Is that a this year thing too?
No, next year. But yeah, so I'm like, do you know what I mean? Then you've got a whole other Dark Avengers or Thunderbolts, whatever you want to call it. But it's like you can have Avengers movies without like the full thing.
Yeah, right.
That'd be fun, like a shitty Avengers team.
That would be fun. Yeah, and then obviously they have to do X-Men, and they're already talking about Deadpool and all this other stuff. So like,
no, they're not. Are they?
Deadpool? Yeah, they've talked about Deadpool entering the MCU.
Yeah, but like, there's no plans for like the movie or anything.
Not yet. No. There's just like we know it's happening. We know it's happening.
Well, like they said that with Mutants too.
Yeah, it's a given that Ryan Reynolds will enter the MCU as Deadpool at some point. He already had a cameo, or they did a commercial with Free Guy or something, and he was hanging out with Korg for like Taika Waititi's thing. People can't see this. Taylor's rolling his eyes right now.
So fucking stupid. Why?
It's a marketing thing, Taylor. It got a lot of views.
Hey, I'm putting out this movie that's probably not very good. Let me have a movie that you guys like promote it. Like it's just weird.
It looks okay. It looks okay. Free Guy looks okay.
No. Just that trailer. I think Free Guy looks fine.
Yeah.
Just that trailer. I was like, what is this?
It's an excuse to wear the Deadpool costume again.
Exactly. I'm like, he's just literally always wants to put it on. He's like, please. It's like, Ryan, calm down. Go back to Van Wilder.
Oh, no, don't go back.
No,
all right.
Basically, yeah.
So, yeah, it seems like a lot's happening in the MCU. Are you excited for how many other shows are coming out this year, Taylor? We have What If, we have Hawkeye. Is that it?
Maybe Hawkeye and maybe Miss Marvel
for this year. Oh, it's a maybe. It's not even like
they're late 2021.
Okay.
So we'll see.
So we'll see if it gets delayed kind of thing. Right. Man, any other final thoughts on Loki and anything you want to say?
No, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I wasn't waiting with bated breath every week like WandaVision for the next episode, but whenever it came out, I was like, oh, that was enjoyable.
Yeah. I feel the same, except I did really like it overall. And I like the music in the show too.
Mm-hmm.
I think the soundtrack was really I don't know, it's just a little bit more exciting.
They use like theremins and stuff like that, like weird sound, which just adds so much to the aesthetic.
Mm-hmm. The look of the show is good. It was solid. It was a solid thing. I'm excited to see.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it's easily it just makes me think of man, I wish Falcon and the Winter Soldier was on the same level as the other two, because looking back on it, I'm yeah, it was fine. It's there's a lot of things to be but I didn't like that part of it.
Yeah, so, totally.
And we get Secret Invasion in a few years too, or something like that too. So there's just so much happening in the MCU. There's never been a better time, everyone. Never been a better time to enter the Marvel train.
And a worse time for the Zack Snyder fans.
You think? No, we're not talking about Zack Snyder.
No.
I was gonna. Should we talk about this?
Yes.
No, I do like how Jonathan Majors. There was a whole thing of they asked him, "Hey, are you gonna be in Loki?" And he's like, "Nope." And then it came out. He's just "Yep, I lied."
Yeah, more of that.
It's yeah, of course he lied. What do you want from him?
Right? Hey, are you so stupid? Damn, I thought I'd really get him with that one.
These actors are under a contract, unless you're what's his face? Oh my God, Spider-Man.
Yeah, Tom Holland.
Tom Holland. Then you can't really get away with it. Tom Holland's like a cute teenage. Well, he's not a teenager, but he has that feel of I can get away with anything. I'm Spider-Man. Yeah. But given any other actor, they'd be oh, well, you just broke your NDA. So
Mark Ruffalo. Fuck. Not again.
All right. Well, that's our discussion on Loki 2021. It looks like Taylor will be back very soon to talk about Marvel's What If.
Jesus. Oh my God. Which is now what we discovered going to tie in. We thought it was a standalone.
Yeah, that's still news to me. That I heard that. Do we know anything more about
every
that?
episode is a different universe. It's the multiverse.
Oh, okay. I don't know if it was an official thing or was it just a tweet or something like that. I heard that there'll be actual implications or something that happens in Marvel's What If as a whole that will affect the rest of the MCU. And I'm not
It'll
sure
probably
if it's
be something like Doctor Strangey.
Okay.
Is what I'm guessing.
So funny. Every time a new show comes out, there's two things that have been trending, or movie. It's either Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and Magneto.
Every time, which is hilarious. I love it.
Yeah, you're a big Magneto guy. Oh, you're a big X-Men guy, so of course you'd be stoked to see that.
Magneto's shit.
Yeah, we don't have to spend too long on this because I know you have opinions on this, but do you think this whole multiverse thing is how the X-Men get actually introduced?
I don't think so. I hope not. I think that'd be weak.
Yeah, you want them to have been there the entire time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise, it just takes like I don't know. Yeah, because it would change it. Like it would change almost like the minority allegory to a refugee allegory, which still works, but it's like that's not what the X-Men are. Do you know what I mean? Because if they're transplanted from a different universe, it's like, hey, we hate you, get out of here. It's like, hey, man, we would love to go home too, but we can't. Versus like what the X-Men is like, hey, we hate you, get out of here. It's like, this is my home. No.
Right. I don't know how they solve it. Kevin Feige definitely has it on paper somewhere, but
I'll give you my wall with all the red strings and stuff. I'll give you my theory some other time.
I just have a feeling they're going to be like, okay, all these multiverse of madness type of crap going on everywhere. And then they're going to do this giant event that just re-merges it or something like that. And then the X-Men get re-merged with that. And whatever that outcome is, makes the X-Men just be part of this universe or whatever it is. And they can just be like, oh yeah, well, the way it merged and stuff like that, it was always part of this universe.
Honestly, I would be so much happier if it was just as simple as like the numbers of mutants are smaller, so there's not as many, but like yeah, it's just they've been here doing their thing. Professor X has been mind wiping people. Like you know how they showed Tilda Swinton fighting in the Battle of New York in Endgame?
Oh,
she was
yeah.
at the Sanctum Sanctorum, and it's like, oh, people were helping. We just didn't know. You could do the same thing and fucking cut to like Westchester, New York, and like the X-Men are like taking down a bunch of aliens or something. And it's like, yeah, we were here. We don't need that's what I like about it. It's like the Avengers are like, where were you guys? Like, we were helping. Sorry, we didn't get in front of the cameras and need adulation from the crowds after. We just did it because it needed to be done. Get out of here, you fucking cops.
Right.
The Avengers are just super cops.
They are super cops, but they're the likable cops. With fan casting really quick.
No, I'm not letting that go. There are no likable cops. Though.
Okay, all right.
Skip that down.
Wait. In a comic book setting?
No, they're usually corrupt. ACAB is all cops are bastards, Tongue. All cops. Even if you see a cute little horse with a police vest on, bastard.
Okay. Yes, I see the connection. I know. Avengers are cops, all this stuff. I guess I just don't think about it when it comes to comic books and stuff like that. But
no, but like specifically in the comic books, it's like the X-Men are like hated and chased, and like the Avengers literally like, work for the government.
Yeah, and they're like loved and all this other stuff.
And it's like, oh, like, you know, someone's breaking like Kamala's Law as a kid that there are no young vigilante heroes and stuff allowed right now. And like there were a couple mutants in an issue a couple weeks ago, and then like the Avengers come down and they're like, all right, kids, like you got to go home. And then Storm and some mutants come up and they'll be like, no, we got this. And they're like, well, they're breaking the law. It's like, we got this. Like, we don't need you to come in and like, we can police our own, like, get the fuck out of here. And then like Captain America, he's like, Aurora. She's like, you can call me Storm. He's like, Storm. Yeah, I just love it. She just like slaps him on the wrist and they're like, get out of here. We don't need you guys. And like,
it's interesting.
And like, that's not subtext in the comics. Like it's
true. Yeah. You know, I don't think about that. Yeah. You're right. I don't read too many Avengers comics, so I don't know. I guess I've seen some, and then there's
because they kind of suck.
There's some comics, there's some Avengers comics that are like, meh. And then there's other versions of like Steve Rogers where he's either super on board with the government, and then obviously Civil War where he's not.
You could read Ta-Nehisi Coates. There's my recommendation for the week. You could read Ta-Nehisi Coates' Captain America run. It's coming to an end, or it just ended with issue 30, but it's basically it's Steve on the outs again with the government, and he's helped by what are they called? The Sentinels of Liberty, I think. It's a group of just like a bunch of lady superheroes in the MCU who've been like working in the secrets, and yeah, it's like a really cool like Steve versus America kind of thing.
Cool. It's good.
And like he's basically like he's not trying to take down the government, but it's like it's the American people. It's kind of like how it's divided now. It's like he's just trying to like unite people and stuff.
Sure.
And change hearts and minds. It's good.
What's it called again? It's just Captain America, and it's
Captain America. It's just the latest run. I think it started in 2018, but Ta-Nehisi Coates, famed author Ta-Nehisi Coates, renowned, wrote it. So
yeah, and it's Steve Rogers, Captain America.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
But he takes off the Captain America pretty soon. Like he's just, you know what I mean? He goes like nomad.
Just Steve. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing was going back to fan casting Magneto really quick. Who's your Magneto of choice these days?
Oh my God. I have no idea. Like, what's his name?
Not Fassbender.
Jeremy Irons. He'd be a great Magneto.
Jeremy Irons. Okay.
Oh, although no, I don't know if he's Jewish. I would have to look into that because I definitely want to find an older Jewish because that's really important to Max's backstory. So
Right.
I'll have to look into that. But Jeremy Irons, like that's the kind of presence that I want, commanding gravitas. Like he's old, but like you wouldn't cross him.
Right. No, I like that. That's a good one. You said old. The Jewish thing aside, I was like, Michael Caine? Michael Caine.
Give us a spoon. Oh, don't worry, I got it. Just jitters through the sky.
Wait, hang on. I got this.
Charles, hello, old friend.
I failed you. All right.
I think it'd be good though to go with like a 50-year-old guy with like white hair, probably.
Well, if you're going to cast like Magneto or something like that, you're going to have this character play Magneto for like 10 years.
Exactly.
Least, right?
Plus he gets de-aged in the comics like 3 times. So it's like, oh, he just has white hair, but Magneto's like 40.
Right. Yeah. I don't need to see Fassbender anymore. Okay. Let's that's it for the show today, Taylor. Do you just plugged a comic book? Is there anything else, TV show, otherwise?
You know what? If you like that Ta-Nehisi comic book, why don't you read one of his runs on Black Panther? Because those are also pretty cool.
Okay. All right. And that's a recent thing too?
Yep. He did 2. He did one run that's like more set on Earth, and he's married to Storm, and I don't love Storm being married to that, but that's fine. It's just kind of like it takes away some of her like power because she's kind of playing second string to someone, whereas like Storm's a leader. So that's the only reason I like. They're great characters.
Yeah.
He did a second run. It's about the Galactic Empire of Wakanda, and it's all about like their space travel and shit. And like it's crazy.
Cool. I'm going to download a bunch of Marvel comics for when I go to the cottage because I need to get into it. Last thing I got into was Invincible, and that was awesome. I feel like I could have done a whole talking tongue on that.
Oh, so good.
It's so good. It's so much better than The Walking Dead. It's crazy.
It's so I think I told you I was reading those books like concurrently when they were coming out. And then like as they went on, Walking Dead, I fell off and was like, yo, Invincible gets better and better.
Yes, that like very quickly. It's so true. Like read a bunch of Walking Dead. I never finished it. I know what happens, whatever. But as the new arcs start to happen, you're like, but that just happened in the last arc. This betrayal and this person dying and stuff. Like it's very like, oh, these nice people. I bet you they're going to be bad at some point. They do.
Yeah.
It's all the same. We're Invincible. They just keep going. It's crazy.
Yeah. It'd be like, okay, I fought the like biggest, strongest person in the universe. It's like, cool. What's that? That's a second universe where that guy's the weakest one. And you're like, are you kidding me? Like it's wild.
Definitely recommend it. If you liked Invincible, the TV show, Invincible, the comics is incredible. It is a little dicey in its writing in the very early stages. They use like a lot of like homophobic like language and a lot of things, but you see
they
the
use like the F
grow.
word and the R word and stuff. But
they're just
started
just
like 2002 or something, but it luckily matures.
It does
as it goes on.
Yeah, exactly.
But like keep in mind, it came out around like American Pie 2 days. So like,
yeah, exactly.
Right?
Not to excuse it, but of course.
No. It's just kind of I do give people just that little warning before.
Yeah. All right. That's it for the show today. Again, this was Talking Tongue with Taylor. Taylor will be back very soon. You'll see.
Sorry, we will try to manage our ADHD. Oh my God.
It's the only time I get to really just nerd out, but not that structured. It's just like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Next time, if you want us to do like story and then characters or something, let us know. But we're going to go off.
Well, Taylor, even if we had a structure, we would go off anyways.
That's true.
We'd be like, oh, but what about this?
We'd be like, all right, the first point of order. Hey, Tongue, what's that thing behind you?
Is that a variant? All right. That's it for Talking Tongue. You can find the rest of the shows in the Pod Cavern at www.podcavern.com. Before we end, Taylor has a new famous catchphrase that he's going to say right now.
I have to go commit my glorious purpose, which is going to the bathroom.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.